There's a hidden secret in manifestation that no one talks about. A simple technique so powerful, it could rewrite everything you think you knew about visualizing your desires. Neville Goddard found a way to bypass the usual methods with one simple trick. And once you understand it, manifesting will never be the same. If you've ever felt stuck in your manifestation journey, what I'm about to share could be the breakthrough you've been waiting for. In this video, I'll walk you through how this technique works and why it's the missing key to making your manifestations a reality without the struggle. Manifestation has become a buzzword, but few truly understand the depth of power that lies behind it. You may have tried visualizing, scripting, affirmations, all of which seem to work for some but fall short for others. The reason? It's not the techniques themselves, it's the mindset you bring to them. What Neville Goddard uncovered was that most people approach manifestation from a place of wanting rather than having. And this single shift makes all the difference. Neville's teachings reveal that reality conforms not to your desires but to your beliefs. What you assume to be true about yourself and the world is what manifests. His most powerful technique, the one we'll explore today, challenges everything you think you know about how manifestation works. It's a way to bypass the usual methods that leave you stuck, frustrated, or endlessly waiting for results. In this video, we're going to explore how to apply Neville's groundbreaking principle of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This technique flips the traditional manifestation process on its head and allows you to become the person who already has what they want, rather than waiting for it to arrive. Whether it's more money, a fulfilling relationship, or inner peace, this technique is the key to unlocking those desires. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll have a clear understanding of how to make this technique work for you. And trust me, you'll never look at manifestation the same way again. Neville Goddard's core teaching revolves around a single, powerful idea. What you assume to be true becomes your reality. This principle, known as the power of assumption, is the foundation of his entire approach to manifestation. But what does it really mean to assume something into being? The power of assumption is rooted in the idea that the world around us is not fixed or rigid. Instead, it reflects our inner beliefs and assumptions. Everything you experience in life is a reflection of what you believe to be true about yourself and the world. So, if you want to change your outer circumstances, you must first change your inner assumptions. Think of it this way. Most people approach manifestation from a place of wanting or needing something. They say things like, "I want more money," or "I wish I could find love." But in doing so, they are affirming the absence of those things. Neville Goddard teaches us that the key to true manifestation is not to focus on the desire itself, but to assume the feeling of already having it. When you assume something, you accept it as a fact, even before you see evidence of it in your reality. This shift in thinking is subtle, but incredibly powerful. Neville famously said, "Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled." This means that instead of wanting, you must embody the state of already having. How would you feel if your wish were already fulfilled? What would your life look like if you already had the money, the relationship, or the success you desire? To master this technique, you must first vividly imagine the outcome you want, and then fully embody the emotions and thoughts of that outcome being real, right now. For example, let's say you want to manifest financial abundance. Instead of focusing on the lack of money, assume the feeling of already being financially secure. Visualize yourself living in abundance, paying bills without stress, and feeling relaxed and confident about your finances. Let yourself feel the relief, the freedom, and the joy that comes with it. This mental shift from wanting to having is where the magic happens. As you persist in this state of assumption, your outer reality will begin to reflect it. This technique works because, according to Neville, the outer world is nothing more than a mirror of your inner state. When you hold on to the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled, the universe has no choice but to rearrange itself to match your new belief. This is why Neville often emphasized persistence. It's not enough to simply assume once and forget about it. You must dwell in this state consistently, regardless of what your current reality looks like. Now, you might be wondering, what if my current circumstances are the opposite of what I want to manifest? How do I maintain the feeling of the wish fulfilled when everything around me tells a different story? This is where most people get stuck, but it's also the most critical part of Neville's teachings. The key is to detach from your outer reality and focus on your inner state. Neville believed that imagination is the creative force of the universe. What you imagine and assume internally will eventually manifest externally. So even if your current circumstances seem difficult or far from what you desire, do not let them dictate your beliefs. Instead, use your imagination to create a new reality within yourself. Neville often used the analogy of planting a seed. When you plant a seed, you don't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. You trust that, in time, it will sprout and grow into a plant. In the same way, when you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you must trust that the seed you've planted in your imagination will eventually bloom into reality. This is why Neville emphasized the importance of persistence in assumption. The more you dwell in the state of your wish fulfilled, the faster it will manifest in your outer world. Let's break it down into a practical exercise. Identify your desire. Be clear about what you want to manifest. Create a mental scene. Imagine a specific scene that implies your desire has already been fulfilled. Feel the emotion. As you visualize the scene, allow yourself to feel the emotions associated with having your desire. Live in the assumption. Carry this feeling with you throughout your day as if it were already true. This simple yet powerful shift in your mindset is the core of Neville's power of assumption technique. When you embody the state of your wish fulfilled, you're no longer trying to manifest your desires. You're living from them. And that is the secret to unlocking your manifesting power. One of the most profound aspects of Neville Goddard's teachings is the idea that imagination is not just a mental tool, but the very embodiment of Christ within us. This concept shifts the way we view reality, manifestation, and even our own identity. To Neville, imagination is the creative power that shapes the universe, and this power is not outside of us. It exists within each one of us. Neville taught that the Christ mentioned in the Bible is not an external figure or deity separate from humanity. Instead, Christ is the divine spark within every individual, the power of imagination itself. He often quoted the scripture, "Christ in you, the hope of glory," emphasizing that this creative force lives inside each of us. When you understand this, you realize that the power to change your life lies within your ability to imagine and believe. But what does it mean to say that imagination is Christ? Neville believed that imagination is the source of all creation. Everything that exists in the physical world was first imagined. Whether it's a building, a piece of art, or an invention, everything begins in the mind before it becomes a reality. This is why he referred to imagination as the eternal body of man and equated it with Christ, the creative force behind all things. When you visualize something in your mind, you're not just daydreaming. According to Neville, you are engaging the Christ within you, the divine power that can bring those images to life. This is where Neville's teaching goes beyond simple visualization techniques. He doesn't just ask you to think about your desires. He invites you to understand that your imagination is the very substance of creation itself. When you imagine, you are activating the Christ within, the creative power that can reshape reality. This idea can be both liberating and intimidating. It means that we are responsible for our own reality, whether consciously or unconsciously. Our imagination is constantly creating, whether we realize it or not. The challenge is to direct this power with intention, rather than letting it run on autopilot, creating outcomes based on fear, doubt, or limiting beliefs. Neville's perspective on Christ within us also reframes how we approach manifestation. Instead of seeing ourselves as separate from God or the universe, waiting for external forces to grant our desires, we become active participants in creation. You are not waiting for a divine being to bless you with abundance, love, or success. You are that divine being, Christ in human form, using your imagination to manifest those things into existence. So how does this understanding affect your manifestation practice? First, it shifts your relationship with your desires. You no longer see them as something distant or separate from you. Instead, you understand that the moment you imagine your desire and assume it as true, you are actively participating in the creative process. You are, in essence, speaking your desire into existence through the Christ power within. Second, it reinforces the idea that your outer world is a direct reflection of your inner world. If your imagination is Christ, then what you imagine, believe, and assume will be made manifest. This is why Neville insisted that you must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, because your inner state is what dictates your external reality. By aligning your imagination with the outcome you desire, you activate the Christ power within you to bring that outcome into physical form. This also means that imagination is not limited to positive thinking. It's a neutral force that can create both desirable and undesirable outcomes. If you habitually imagine failure, lack, or struggle, your imagination, your Christ power, will create those realities just as easily as it will create success, abundance, and joy. This is why Neville stressed the importance of consciously directing your imagination towards what you want to experience. To put this concept into practice, start by recognizing that every time you use your imagination, you are engaging the creative power of Christ. Every thought, every mental image, every emotion you dwell on is shaping your reality. So if you want to change your life, start by changing the images you hold in your mind. Here's a practical exercise to activate the Christ within you. Close your eyes and visualize a scene that represents your desire already fulfilled. Feel the emotions as if the scene were happening right now, whether it's joy, relief, or excitement. Repeat this visualization daily, especially before you go to sleep, as this is when your subconscious mind is most receptive. Trust that your imagination, the Christ within you, is already at work, aligning your outer world with the reality you've created inside. By embracing this idea, you stop seeing yourself as a powerless individual and start recognizing the divine creative force that you are. You begin to understand that you are not separate from God, but an expression of God's creative power. And that power, your imagination, is limitless. Once you fully grasp this concept, your approach to life and manifestation will transform. You'll realize that everything you've ever wanted is within your reach, because the power to create it already exists within you. Your imagination, the Christ within you, is waiting for you to use it. One of the greatest challenges in manifestation is maintaining belief when your outer world shows you nothing but the opposite. How do you continue to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled when reality seems to deny it at every turn? This is where Neville Goddard's teachings push the boundaries of traditional thinking. He teaches us that believing in your inner reality, even when all external evidence points in the opposite direction, is not just important, it's essential. Neville often referred to this as living in the end. This means that no matter what your current circumstances are, you must persist in the belief that your desire is already fulfilled. The key here is persistence. Most people give up too soon, allowing doubt to creep in and destroy their assumptions. They look around at their physical reality and say, "It's not working, nothing's changing." But that is exactly where the true test begins. Neville once said, "Your assumption, to be effective, cannot be a single isolated act. It must be a maintained attitude of the wish fulfilled." In other words, it's not enough to momentarily feel as though your desire has come true. You have to live from that feeling every day, regardless of what your senses are telling you. This can be incredibly difficult when your outer world presents challenges that seem to contradict your inner vision. But this is the very essence of faith. Let's break this down with an example. Imagine you're trying to manifest a new job, but every application you submit gets rejected. Most people would take these rejections as a sign that they are failing or that their manifestation is not working. They would begin to doubt the process and, worse, doubt their ability to manifest what they want. But Neville teaches that you must ignore the evidence of your senses and persist in the belief that the job is already yours. Even if rejection after rejection comes your way, you must continue to live in the end, as though you are already employed in your dream job. This is the true power of assumption. You are assuming your desired reality into being, even when the physical world tries to convince you otherwise. It's in these moments of contradiction that your belief must remain unshaken. This is why Neville called manifestation a test of faith. It's easy to believe in something when it's already in front of you, but the real mastery comes in believing before you see any evidence at all. So how do you maintain belief despite contrary evidence? Neville offers a few key strategies. Detach from the physical world. Understand that your outer reality is only a reflection of your past thoughts and assumptions. It is not permanent, nor is it an accurate representation of what is possible. What you see today is the result of yesterday's beliefs. By shifting your assumptions today, you are setting in motion the events that will create your future reality. So, stop giving so much power to the current circumstances and start focusing on the inner reality you are creating. Live in the wish fulfilled. As we mentioned earlier, living in the end is about embodying the feeling that your desire is already fulfilled. This doesn't mean pretending or forcing positivity. It means genuinely shifting your mindset to believe that what you want is already yours. This feeling must become a part of your daily life. When doubt arises, remind yourself that your imagination is the true reality and that the physical world will eventually catch up. Persist, persist, persist. Persistence is perhaps the most important element of Neville's teachings. You must persist in your assumption, even when it seems ridiculous, even when everything in your physical reality contradicts it. The moment you give in to doubt, you undo the progress you've made. But if you can hold on to your belief, if you can persist long enough, your outer reality will have no choice but to conform to your inner state. Neville also encouraged his followers to use their imagination to overcome moments of doubt. If you're faced with a situation that contradicts your assumption, use your imagination to revise the event. Imagine that things happened the way you wanted them to, not the way they actually did. For instance, if you were rejected from a job, imagine receiving a phone call saying that the company made a mistake and the job is yours. By doing this, you keep your inner state aligned with your desired outcome, and eventually, reality will reflect that shift. This approach to manifestation requires unwavering faith, not in something external, but in yourself and your creative power. Neville would say, faith is loyalty to the unseen reality. You must be loyal to your inner vision no matter what your current circumstances show you. This doesn't mean ignoring reality, but rather understanding that reality is fluid and can be reshaped by your imagination. The most successful manifestors are those who can hold on to their vision through the ups and downs, through the setbacks and disappointments. They understand that their inner world is the cause, and the outer world is merely the effect. When you learn to trust this process, you gain a level of power that few ever achieve, the ability to shape reality from within. So no matter how difficult your current circumstances may seem, remember this: the power to change them lies within you. Persist in your assumption, live in the end, and let the evidence of the physical world catch up to the reality you've already created in your mind. Neville Goddard's concept of living in the end is perhaps the most transformative aspect of his teachings. This idea flips the traditional manifestation process on its head. Instead of focusing on what you want or what you're trying to achieve, Neville teaches that you must live as though the outcome you desire has already occurred. This is not about hoping, wishing, or waiting. It's about being. So what exactly does it mean to live in the end? In simple terms, it means mentally and emotionally placing yourself in the state where your desire has already manifested. You don't wish for it, you live from it. It's about fully immersing yourself in the experience of already having what you want, even before it shows up in your physical reality. You begin to think, feel, and act as if you are already living in that desired state. For example, let's say you want to manifest a loving relationship. Most people would approach this desire by focusing on wanting a partner, perhaps visualizing future dates or thinking about the qualities they hope their partner will have. But according to Neville, this keeps you in a state of lack, because you are identifying with not having that relationship. Instead, living in the end means imagining yourself already in that loving relationship. How would you feel waking up next to your partner every day? What kinds of conversations would you have? How would your life change with this person in it? You must step into the identity of someone who is already in that relationship, embodying the feelings of love, joy, and companionship as though it's happening right now. This principle applies to all areas of life. Whether it's wealth, health, or success, the key to manifestation is not in striving for your desires, but in embodying them. By living in the end, you are training your subconscious mind to accept this new reality, and in doing so, you trigger the chain of events that will lead to its physical manifestation. Neville often said, "Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and live in that assumption until it hardens into fact." This means that once you assume the state of having what you want, you must remain faithful to it. No matter what your senses tell you, no matter what obstacles appear, you must hold on to the feeling that your wish has already been fulfilled. This is where persistence comes in. One of the biggest misconceptions about living in the end is that it's about pretending or ignoring reality. But this is not the case. Living in the end doesn't mean you deny what's happening around you. It means that regardless of your current circumstances, you are rooted in the belief that your desired outcome is already yours. You don't react to the ups and downs of life from a place of lack or fear. Instead, you respond from the mindset of someone who has already received their desire. For many, this concept can be difficult to grasp because we've been conditioned to believe that our outer circumstances dictate how we feel. But Neville teaches the opposite. Your inner state creates your outer circumstances. If you live from the end, meaning you consistently hold the feeling that your desire is already yours, the outer world will eventually conform to that inner state. It may not happen overnight, but with persistence, your reality will reshape itself to match the assumptions you've held onto.
No.
Let's take a practical approach to applying this in your life. Visualize your ideal outcome. Every day, spend a few minutes imagining a scene that represents your wish fulfilled. Make it as vivid and real as possible. What do you see? What do you hear? How does it feel? Feel the emotions. The most important part of living in the end is the feeling. It's not enough to just visualize the scene. You must also feel the emotions associated with having your desire. If it's financial success, feel the relief and freedom. If it's love, feel the warmth and joy. This emotional state is what shifts your subconscious mind. Carry the feeling throughout your day. Don't just leave your visualization on the meditation cushion. As you go about your daily life, carry the feeling of your wish fulfilled with you. If doubts arise or if your outer reality seems to contradict your desire, return to the feeling of already having what you want. Respond from your new state. One of the most powerful aspects of living in the end is responding to life's challenges as though your desire is already yours. If you were already financially abundant, how would you respond to an unexpected bill? If you were already in a loving relationship, how would you handle moments of loneliness? By reacting from the state of your wish fulfilled, you reinforce that reality and draw it closer to you. Neville often compared living in the end to playing a role in a play. The more you embody the character, the person who already has what they desire, the more real it becomes. Just like an actor in a play who fully immerses themselves in their character, you must immerse yourself in the feeling of your wish fulfilled until it becomes second nature. The beauty of this practice is that it not only brings about the manifestation of your desires, but it also brings immediate relief and joy. When you live in the end, you stop waiting for happiness, love, or success to arrive in the future. You experience those feelings now, which creates a sense of peace and fulfillment, regardless of your current circumstances. And as you maintain this state, the outer world will gradually shift to reflect it. Now that you understand the power of assumption, the role of imagination as the Christ within you, and the principle of living in the end, it's time to tie everything together. These teachings from Neville Goddard aren't just theoretical ideas. They are tools that can radically change your life when applied consistently. The final key is persistence. Persistence is the glue that holds these concepts together. It's the act of remaining faithful to your desired state, no matter what appears in your external world. This is where most people fall short. They give up too soon. They visualize for a few days, feel good about their desire, but then doubt creeps in, and they start reacting to their current reality. The result? They fall back into the cycle of wanting rather than having, and their manifestation is delayed or even blocked. Neville teaches us that we must stay loyal to our inner vision. When you truly live in the end, when you fully assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are planting a seed in the fertile ground of your imagination. But like any seed, it takes time to grow. You wouldn't dig up a seed every day to see if it's sprouting, and in the same way, you can't allow doubts or external evidence to uproot your belief in your desired outcome. You must trust the process. Neville said, "The world is a mirror, forever reflecting what you are doing within yourself." This means that the reality you experience is a direct reflection of your inner state. If you consistently live in the assumption that your wish is already fulfilled, the world must conform to that belief. It's not a matter of if, but when. The law of assumption works every time, but it requires unwavering faith. So how do you maintain this faith when the outer world seems unchanged? The answer lies in your focus. Instead of looking to the outer world for validation, turn inward. Remind yourself that the creative power lies within you. Your imagination, your assumptions, these are the true forces that shape reality. Every time doubt arises, return to your inner vision. Revisit the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Replay the scene in your mind where your desire has already manifested. And most importantly, feel it as though it's real right now. The persistence required for successful manifestation doesn't have to feel like a struggle. In fact, when you truly embrace the power of imagination and assumption, it becomes a joyful practice. You are no longer waiting for something to happen. You are living in the knowing that it already has. This shift in perspective brings a sense of peace and confidence that you are actively creating your reality from within, and that the physical world will catch up in time. This is the magic of Neville Goddard's teachings. They empower you to stop looking outside of yourself for change, and instead recognize that the power has been within you all along. You don't need to wait for circumstances to shift, for other people to change, or for luck to strike. You are the operant power. The moment you decide to live in the end, to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, the universe begins to rearrange itself to match that inner state, but you must persist, through doubt, through obstacles, through temporary setbacks. If you hold the course, your reality will inevitably reflect your desire. Today, we've explored some of Neville Goddard's most powerful teachings, the power of assumption, imagination as Christ within, and the transformative principle of living in the end. These concepts, when applied, have the potential to reshape your reality entirely. To recap, manifestation isn't about chasing your desires or waiting for circumstances to change. It's about understanding that your imagination is the creative force behind everything in your life. What you assume to be true, you experience as reality. By living in the end, acting as though your wish is already fulfilled, you're aligning yourself with the life you desire. Remember, the outer world is simply a reflection of your inner state. The key to manifesting your dreams is to remain loyal to your inner vision, no matter what your current reality looks like. This requires persistence, belief, and trust in the process. But as long as you continue to live from the state of your wish fulfilled, reality has no choice but to align with your assumptions. So take what you've learned today and start applying it in your own life. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, live in the end, and watch as the world around you shifts. to reflect the desires you've held within. What are you manifesting today? Drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear about your journey and what you're creating in your life. Remember, the power to transform your reality is already within you, and by applying Neville Goddard's teachings, you can unlock that power with ease. If you found value in today's video, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on more insights and techniques to accelerate your manifestation journey. And if you're ready to dive deeper into the art of manifestation, check out my next video where I'll reveal more powerful techniques to speed up your manifestations and create the life you've always dreamed of. Thanks for watching, and remember, live in the end, persist in your assumption, and watch as your desires unfold.